Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Centre for Healing podcast. Ryan Hassan here. Very, very excited and honoured to be joined by Rainbow Glitter Shiva. Rainbow, good to see you.
Hi Ryan, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm kind of chill today. I'm just sort of Tommy's first day back at school today, so we've had a crazy 2.5 weeks. We're up in Queensland doing all the theme parks, and then got home and had Easter and that. And now this is the first time I got him off to school, and I'm like, just sort of everything's calming down. So it's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah, no,
Before I
that's
get back to my 300 emails from the last 2.5 weeks that I haven't got back to. But I'm good. I'm glad to be talking to you. Today, we're going to be talking about addiction, something very near and dear to my heart, and particularly the way that it impacts families, I think, and
Mm.
maybe the support or lack thereof support sort of in that kind of field. So, do you want to start off by just letting people know who you are and maybe your lived experience with addiction in this particular area?
Okay. So I'm Rainbow. I'm in Dapto, which is Wollongong, which is just south of Sydney. Um, I started probably at an early age with cigarettes, which I cut the jumped the whole alcohol bit and went to cannabis, and then you know um, onto LSD, MDMA, and it was a continual from one to the other to the other. So each time it was kind of getting a problem, we'd just switch on to another one. And when I say we, it was me and my husband. Um, and that went on for years until there crept in rather big mental health issues. He got hospitalized, and then he was diagnosed with schizophrenia, bipolar, narcissistic social tendencies, and anxiety.
Wow.
So here I was with a husband with this diagnosis, with two children they were both in primary, I think, in primary school. And I had no idea about anything with mental health. And yeah, he's come back with this diagnosis. And to get help for this diagnosis, they would not recognize the drug use. To get help with the drug use, they would not recognize the diagnosis. They were two separate things. And it's like, even me, untrained, know nothing about it, was thinking, man, these go hand in hand. Like, why are they two separate?
Isn't it a real sort of insight into that, medical industry where everything's so separated, or even we have, different specialists who look at different parts of the body, neglecting that it's a whole thing working in unison. You're making me remember, I
Yeah.
remember studying AOD at TAFE, and I just come out of my addiction. And a guy was reading us some stuff, and he's talking about, yeah, dual diagnosis and all that. And he was saying, yeah, some people now are even suggesting that people with addiction will also have some sort of mental health concern. It may be upwards of, and it was like meant to be a crazy stat, like 60%. And I was sitting there going, it's fucking 100. Like, what are
Yeah,
we talking about?
I know. I know. So that sort of made me start thinking that, because I don't know, well, you had any experience with mental health, like involuntary experiences in the mental
Uh,
health?
Not me personally, but sort of people I know, clients, we've had to sort of,
Yeah.
yeah, organize
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
So they do like to drug them up,
Yeah.
send them home, and then put them on a CTO, a community treatment order, where they have to comply. Well, they drugged my husband up, and it was like, who is this? Who is this man? Who, I don't know who you are. You just not there. And lucky he didn't get put on a community treatment order, and he didn't have to comply because I supported him in not taking the drugs because they were just he just wasn't there. But, you know, that made me think that there must be a middle ground. There must be because by this time I'd figured out, yes, he was doing it to self-medicate, to, you know, to ease the symptoms that he was getting. So there must have been a middle ground. Yet he was a bit far gone and he wasn't quite seeing the middle ground. And that dissolved in a big blaze of glory. But, you know, from there, I sort of went, I've got all this experience now from a lived perspective, from both, you know, having addictions myself, because, you know, I come out of that relationship with a, you know, nice little Xanax addiction, before it was, you know, a naughty drug. So, you know, I've got that lived experience, and I've got lived experience of looking after somebody for a couple of years that had the mental health issues that we couldn't really get help for. And I thought there's just something missing. So that's what actually brought me into this field.
Into like the counselling and everything in general? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that brought me into the counselling, like, because my idea was I need to be a drug and alcohol counsellor. Then when I told friends about that, they were just like, well, you've been doing it for 20 years. You may as well just get paid
You might as well
for
get a
it.
certificate.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, oh, okay. So, you know, everyone around me was really supportive. And then I did, like, from my placement, I got like, my goal with my placement was to get a job out of it, which halfway through my placement, I started working for Odyssey House, New South Wales. Yeah. And my thought when I got the job there was I need 5 years experience. I need 5 years at this place before I can move on. And I got my 5. I was just short of 5 years, but I got that. And then after I left there and started up my private practice, I started up Walk and Talk. And that's, you know, as you know, it's getting people moving and, you know, processing different way. And then I found you guys. And, you know, the rest is history, because it's like, oh my God, yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for.
And now you're a certified practitioner in like pretty much all of our modalities. You've come to Vietnam with us. We saw you in Bali last year. Like
Yep.
it's awesome. I'll just before you jump
And
on
I'll be seeing you in Melbourne in a couple of weeks.
Oh, yes. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask that 5 years at Odyssey House, obviously you had that intention of I want to gain this amount of experience here.
Yeah.
What did you learn there? What did you sort of learn about the, I guess, the industry as a whole?
Yes, I learned that you know, places like that can be really good for people to, you know, have a timeout, especially with Odyssey's pretty hardcore. Odyssey's they call it the super massive rehabs.
Mhm.
That's what they call it in New South Wales, because, you know, you've got to be accountable. You run the place. You don't sit there and just let other people do stuff. You've got to actually get in there and you've got to do the program, or you don't complete the program, basically. But, you know, I learned how to read people, how to communicate with them properly, how to run groups. I love running groups. Yeah. How to navigate the system, how to do referrals. Like, I learned how to, you know, get people. We had a lot of people that were straight out of jail, or on orders from the court, or their children have been removed. So they weren't willing participants, but they had to be there.
Yeah.
You know, turning them around is something that, you know, is an art form. And, you know, it's a good.
Did you have much communication with the families at that time as well of the people that were coming in?
No,
Mhm.
not often. Not often. And like, occasionally there was, but it wasn't, because I was in the community service section, there wasn't. But in the actual residence, they do have a little bit to do with the families. Yeah. But writing this program all comes back to what support I had when I was going through it, and I had no support.
Yeah, yeah. And what is that program for people obviously that are listening and
Okay,
unsure? Because
so
one of
it's
the
not,
reasons we're jumping on today and talking about addiction and how it impacts families is because you spoke to me probably a couple of months ago now and said, I want to do this
yeah,
program. Here's what's in it. And I'm like, please do it because it's very much needed.
yeah, yeah. So it's called Families Unite, Breaking the Cycle of Addiction. Now, basically what it is an intervention program. So I'm not, we all think of intervention as what we see on TV, where, they, get someone in a room and go, okay, these are the rules you've got to stop, you got to get out, all it. No.
Everyone's got their little notes and they're like, all right, my
Yeah,
turn to share. The
yeah,
person wants to get the hell out of there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I don't do that.
Yeah.
What I actually do is I educate the family to start with. So when I say educate the family, so I educate them in drugs and alcohol, because most of them just like they think that, let's that just stop. They take the drugs away and it'll be all cured. But no, it's not that. Also, trauma and how it impacts everybody, and just different levels of trauma and what the trauma can be. Like I know you use the example of the child holding their hand up in class and everybody laughing at them. And I like the example of, losing your mum when you're a 3-year-old. So, and what you tend to find is I've actually got this family at the moment, and they're actually identifying their own trauma through just me educating them on trauma.
I
Yeah,
think I think understanding is just so key. I think we are naturally afraid of what we don't understand.
yeah,
And what I saw so much at the center when I'd speak to parents or partners and loved ones is they didn't understand it, so they were naturally scared of it. Because addiction's like, you
yeah,
see it like if you don't really understand it, then you only have the information that you get from like the news or
yeah,
movies and TV
yeah.
shows, which is
Mhm.
horrific. It's
Exactly,
like,
exactly.
so
Yeah,
someone might they hear their son smoked methamphetamine or something, and all of a sudden they have the image of the guy on the news who like broke into the pharmacy and the cops had to take him down, or they turn into like some sort of crazy
yeah,
zombie on a TV show. So they're
mhm,
naturally terrified. And when they're
yeah,
in that fearful state, anyone doesn't handle a situation well. They really
exactly.
come at it with fear and
Mm,
understanding and education can help someone. I love what you said, how like when you're educating people, even the parents or whoever it is will start to kind of look at themselves
yeah,
and their own coping mechanisms, their own trauma or things that they've been through so they can have compassion for
yeah,
themselves, but also for this person they want to help.
yeah. And the other thing that that's really evident is it's more the mums, but they get a lot of guilt
Yeah.
and they get a lot of shame. And it's like, what did I do wrong? And they can blame themselves as well. And you know, like I know that a lot of the time it's not about blaming,
Mm.
and it's about getting those family members to a place where no, actually, we're doing this because we love them and we want to come from a place of love, not from a place of guilt or a place of blame, but a place of love because you want to see the best for your loved one.
Yeah, I love that. It's also
Yeah,
that we can get stuck in the blame of the person who's addicted as well. Like both of
yeah,
those aren't healthy. So there's that I blame myself, it's my fault, or it's like they've got the problem, they need to go and fix themselves.
yeah.
Go get
Mm,
fixed and then come and see me
yeah.
once you're fixed.
Exactly, exactly. So I also go through communication. Then I go through enabling and codependency because once the longer the addiction's been going on, the more you enable and you become codependent, but you're not aware of it.
Mm.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
slipping into a pattern and that just sort
yeah,
of perpetuating. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Like another one of my families was she swore she wasn't enabling her daughter. Yet, when we unpacked it, by not actually addressing this sooner, she's been enabling the behavior.
Yeah.
And she recognized that. And, she's had to deal with that and, move past that before she can, move forward, basically.
Yeah. One thing that, we will do a similar thing at the center in education, but it's like I found that families and everything, they wanted a script of like, just tell me exactly what to tell this person to make them get help or stop. And I'm like, it doesn't matter how good the script is or the words are on a bit of paper, if your energy behind it is one of being scared and wanting to blame yourself or them, or which is oftentimes where people come from. It doesn't matter what you say. It's like, so that one person you worked with, it can be a bit startling for them at first. Oh, do I have to address where I actually need to change? But if they actually do that, then it's wonderful, the transformation that can take place.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea of like helping a family is like there's a dynamic, and this person who is, in that dynamic and one part of it is struggling with addiction. It's not just them that's wrong, so everyone's got to sort of take ownership of that dynamic.
So that's actually a component of the program as well.
Okay.
What role everybody plays within the family. Yeah. Because you have, the hero, the enabler, you have the scapegoat. So you have all different.
What else would there be? Like the taskmaster, the one that sort of holds everyone to account, and
Yeah.
like archetypes within a family. It's really
Pretty
interesting.
much. Yeah, pretty much. And then I do actually do a component where we do write an intervention letter. But the intervention letter is the sole purpose of the intervention letter is to open the conversation.
Yeah.
So the first part is, this is how much I love you and this is how much I respect you and this is what you got going for you. Part two is, I've made mistakes here. I know I've made mistakes. I've done A, B, C, and D. And then it's, we all need help as a family. We want to support you to go and get help.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. Yeah. It just opens up the conversation. It doesn't do anything else but that. And
I'm like, that's so good. Like even that's in a letter form, but I'm thinking,
but they read it out.
Yeah, okay, great.
They read it out or they can post it or whatever they feel like they need to do.
Yeah, that's great. I'm thinking like even like having a conflict with your partner or trying to bring something up. It's like, oh, this relates to anything. It's like, I'm not going to come at this, from an adversarial point of view. Because obviously the person that I want them to get help, I love them. That's why I want them to get help. I don't want to see them, suffering and destroying themselves in this way. But so often our natural reaction as a human being is like, fucking stop it, go, which just creates so much negative energy. So I find that very opening, the way you've structured that.
Yeah. And what you find is by the time they're coming to me, like they're not communicating very well with anybody because they're just frustrated as they've got a bit of anger. They probably got guilt, shame, blame, everything going on, and they just can't settle that down. So, it's about stepping back and going, hey, well, why are we actually doing this?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. That's great. Have you found any like families so far that are unwilling to sort of own their part or realize that they need to make changes, both in probably themselves, their behavior and the way they communicate?
I found I've got one and the mother they're not quite sure whether it's early stages of dementia. So the memory's not that good. So it does take a bit longer with her. But at this stage, I haven't come across any that are really resistant.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, no, I wonder if that is a sign of, the change. I think we're coming more mental health aware and addiction aware. It's kind of a slow process, I think. But I think the last decade or so, the wheels turning in the right direction. So people are a little
Yeah.
bit more open to understanding it's not just a moral failing. It's
Yeah.
like we have there's these models of addiction, and it's the classical old ones. It's a moral failing. So this person's just making bad choices. They don't care about
Yeah.
anyone else. They're selfish.
Yeah.
The judicial system still sees it as that,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And then
Yeah.
we have the medical system, which sees it as a disease, which is more compassionate, I guess. But, obviously we don't want to be seeing it as a disease, because oftentimes that then gets labeled, sometimes medicated, and we also get told that, well, this is just something you're going to have to manage for the rest of your life, which is kind of
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, do I really?
Yeah.
But like the education around trauma, emotional baggage, these imprints, how these addictive behaviors are a coping mechanism for
Yeah.
being not okay with being in
Yeah.
our own skin. And once we work out why we don't feel okay, then if we work with there, then these behaviors that are showing up on the surface can go. I think
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about now.
Yeah. And I think, like, you know, having an addiction, I think if someone came to me and said, okay, I'm going to help you, I'm going to support you through this, would actually have made things a bit different in the time I stopped and the time I went for help, kind of thing. It would have brought it forward. I would have gotten help and done stuff sooner. But, nobody does that.
Mm. Yeah, so
Mm.
it's a collapsing the timeline,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
to speak. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I actually agree. Yeah, with my experience and that I've seen with clients, it's like, even people that have eventually got better, I think we could have done it in such a sooner time. Because
Yeah.
there's a barrier, especially a male thing, by the way. There's a barrier to reaching out and asking for help.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so there's that barrier. So it's like, I use the analogy of like we're a car. Instead of like, oh, here's something a little bit funny in the engine, I'll go and get it looked at. We wait till like all the doors are falling off, the windows are smashed, there's a wheel missing. They're like, fix me, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
So we end up coming out to get help when things are really bad. So that's one barrier. And then the second barrier is we might go into this, you know, a very old school or classically trained someone with addiction who maybe hasn't got lived experience, isn't overly compassionate, is,
Yeah.
of the opinion that it's a moral failing, or, we need to just look at the drug or the behavior and create a relapse
Yeah.
prevention plan without addressing the underlying reasons why. That's a barrier as well. So you've got these
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
massive barriers. And I've seen so many people, they overcome that first barrier of finally going out for getting help, then have a negative experience with someone who doesn't understand, isn't compassionate, and then go back into their shell and may not reach out for help again for years, if ever, sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you think about what services we have around, there's not enough.
No.
There is just not enough of any of the services, whether it's AOD, whether it's mental health, whether it's trauma, whether it's whatever it is, there's just not enough.
And not enough variety as well.
Mm.
It's like I know now there's someone here in Australia is struggling with their mental health, and they'll go and see a GP, and they get diagnosed with your depression, anxiety, whatever it is. Then it's a mental health care plan, which is 10 sessions with a psychologist, and normally a suggestion or a prescription for medication.
Yeah.
Whereas we know
Yeah.
there's that's an option. I still think that should be an item on the menu, but it should be in
Yeah.
amongst a hell of a lot of other things on the menu as well.
So I don't know whether you know about it's a scheme called victim support.
Hmm.
So each state has a different one. So Victoria would run a bit different to what New South Wales runs. However, so I'm a counsellor with victim support, and if you've been a victim of a violent crime, you are entitled to 22 free counselling hours per event. So that means if you were in domestic violence, you could actually make a claim for each particular event that had happened. Okay. You don't need to have reported it to police. You don't need to have, any services back you up on it. And you don't have to put a detail, like a real big detail of what actually happened. It'd just be like, yeah, had a disagreement with my partner and I ended up in hospital with a broken nose. That's all you have to write. And not many people know about that.
Mm,
And
yeah.
that's a lot better than what the mental health plan is, because it gives you a lot more.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that amount of sessions with the counsellor. We have over the years had from time to time people reach out who have got some funding,
Yep.
so that they didn't have to
NGIS
use it on,
funding.
yeah, but
Yep.
through victim of crime.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so they've reached out and said, hey, I've been a victim of crime and I have this funding. This is either doing some
Yep.
sessions back in the day or maybe I want to do one of your trainings and that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So, yeah, I think it's great those services are available. And like you said, most people don't know that
Yeah.
that's an option. So, in a world
Yeah.
where it can be hard, because I've had people reach out, even friends of mine who were like, yeah, I went and got my referral to see a psychologist and they said they could fit me in about, 9 weeks.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
psychiatrist is even longer. It's like, yeah, they
Oh,
could see
yeah.
me in about three
Yeah.
months. And it
Yeah.
really shows that there's a lack of those resources at the minute.
Yeah. Yeah. So anybody in Australia, in any state, they have a victim services, and it's just, if you need to, the crime needs to have happened in that state.
Yeah.
So if it happened in Western Australia, look up Western Australia. If it happened in New South Wales, look up New South Wales. Yeah.
Yeah, great resource, great resource. And
Yeah.
so with the working with families of loved ones in addiction, like do you have a set time frame that you will work with them or and are you sort of then laying out if when the person is open to getting help, like have you got a plan for them of where to go and that kind of thing?
So initially it was in my head 5 groups, but it looks like that probably pushes out to 6 groups because people get chatty, I get chatty.
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes.
Brilliant.
And you know, my goal is not to actually do an intervention. My goal is to give families the tools to change their conversations, to change their way they communicate, to stop their enabling, stop their codependency, because when they change, the addiction changes as well.
Yeah.
And, as they start to change their communication, they might feel confident in themselves to be able to approach the loved one without having a conflict. So that is my goal. However, I'm still happy to jump in and do whatever.
Yeah, there's a dynamic, and we know this either consciously or unconsciously in every interaction that we have. And it takes at least one of those parties to change their energy, to
Yep.
change the dynamic.
Yep.
I always use the example, it's like, when I'm in, grade six or something at school and I really, really like this girl and I like her for like 6 months. I'm obsessed with her and she won't even look at me or give me the time of day. Doesn't even know
Yep.
what my name is. And then the day that, I get home and I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I'm absolutely done. And I let go of all attachments. The next day, she's like, oh, hi, Ryan. And I'm like, what the fuck? I completely changed the dynamic in that,
Yeah.
interaction. And
Yeah.
that's happening all the time with all human beings.
Yeah, exactly.
And if
Exactly.
people are addiction, they're in a rut. They're suffering. They're in pain. That's why they're doing
Yeah.
what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Addictions start with pain and end with pain. That's an Eckhart Tolle quote, that one. And
Yeah.
so they get very stuck in these patterns. So it's like
Yeah.
if we're waiting for their energy to change in the dynamic, then
Not going to
that's
happen.
it's not going to happen. And then we're going to get more and more resentful. We're going to get angry. We're going to get frustrated, and that adds to the dynamic as well. So I
Yeah.
think it's really empowering, and sometimes it's off-putting for families and loved ones to hear it, but it's empowering to go, you have the ability to change the dynamic here.
Yeah. But I think them coming to me, they're either thinking it or they're close to thinking it, that I have to make a change.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Yeah. I'm thinking like a lot of the time at the center, I do this consult for half an hour, 45 minutes. to see if a program, they were going to be interested in what we
Yep.
did. And that's when a loved one would oftentimes come and sit in with them in the consult. And
Yep.
so, yeah, sometimes it was a little bit different. Sometimes you'd see them being a little bit off put and that. But then other times people, they'd be like, I think I need this program as well. And I'm like, yeah, like all human beings should be addressing their trauma, their imprints, their baggage, their patterns, all their coping mechanisms that they're using. It's a good thing for humanity.
Well, if it was taught in school, life would be a whole lot different, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Some sort of emotional blueprint for how to be a
Yeah.
human being that we definitely didn't get,
Mm.
when we were in school, we've had to work it out in our
Yeah.
adult years.
Yeah. Because I don't know about your parents. My parents were not emotionally connected. Let's go with that one. Yes. Yeah. Like I had everything. I could do anything I wanted. But not emotionally connected.
Yeah. And I mean, that's same here. And it's like, I think as we move through the generations, ideally there's evolution as we move through and it
Totally.
evolves at different times. It's only the last, few thousand years that as a species we've actually had the luxury to contemplate our own existence.
Yeah.
And like why we're here and what we're doing and interpersonal relationships. Because before that, we just needed to survive. We needed to get through the day, and there was no
Yeah.
time and space for even thinking about that,
Yeah.
And I think, I was literally thinking about this just the other day, and I'm like, yeah, like my grandparents would have like lived through the Great Depression and all of that kind of thing. And I mean, man, that must have been tough. And there wouldn't have been a hell of a lot of time for doing a lot of emotional work,
Yeah.
at that kind of time. And so,
Yeah.
well, the reason that I do that as well, and sometimes I explain that to clients, is it's like what we spoke about before. It's like we don't want to then create any blame, because there's nothing worse than when you educate someone on this and go, oh, fucking mum and dad's fault. That's and
Yeah.
then because if we're blaming ourselves or anyone else, we're stuck. Blame is a mechanism that will keep us stuck in whatever we're in.
But if you think about that, how many women out there think that when their child goes to counseling or therapy, the mum's going to get blamed?
Yeah.
It's a very collective thought.
Yeah, I get like the phone calls from the mums, and it's like they're calling under the guise of like, I just want to check in, how's so and so doing with their sessions? But it's like, what have they said about me?
Yeah. It's like I can't tell you anything.
Yeah, yeah. Or you could just own it. What does Gabor Mate say? He talked about, the helping a child raise and that, and he goes, but also just make sure that you have a little account that you save up for all their therapy when they're older. Oh, that's funny. Hey, I've got a random question for you.
Yeah.
I've never asked this. I've known you for a long time. I'm assuming you weren't born Rainbow Glitter Shiva. When did you
That's
change your
right.
name?
I changed my name. Well, after I got after I separated from my husband, I thought, like, my initial thought was, I don't want to stay in my married name. I don't want to go back to my maiden name because that's just like, I've been there, I've done that. And I just toyed around with names and I said to my mum, like I asked her, I was really nice, and I asked her and I said, oh, can I go to your maiden name? And she said, no, you either stay your married name or you go back to our name. And I went, and my daughter was there at the time. My daughter just went, oh my God, why didn't you just say, change your whole name? I'll give you permission because you've just done that. Anyway, so I sort of thought about it and it's like, oh, that's a bit of change my name's a bit much. I've got to do a lot. And then I had my daughter over because she was 19, I think. I had her and a boyfriend over for dinner one night and we're just sitting there eating and she just goes rainbow glitter and he just went sheep and I went down. And just next
Easy
day
as
I
that.
just got it changed.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that you said, I'm done with this period of my life and I don't want to go back to the other period. Let's
yeah,
let's create something new.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I got my name.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. Where can people get in touch with you if they're listening to this and they're like, holy shit, this is what I need. I've got a loved one struggling with addiction, or I just need some advice. I need to reach out. How can people do that?
Okay, so I've got a Facebook page called Soul Counselling with Rainbow.
Yep.
And I've got a website which is walkandtalkwithrainbow.com.au.
Brilliant. And people can book like a call on that through the
Yep,
website and all that.
they can book a call via either. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we can just have a chat.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. Well,
Yeah.
we'll put those links in the show notes down below for people that
Yep.
want to click through and reach out. And it's always a platter. I just say a pleasure chatting, and I said a platter. But I'm looking forward to seeing you. That's only in like what, two and a
2
bit
weeks.
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you beauty. Oh, it's going to be
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, we're gonna do that little event there that Jess has organised in Melbourne, and then Melissa and I, when we were up on the Gold Coast for the holidays, we met with an event organizer up there. So we're going to do the retreat this year, probably in September, October,
Yeah, okay, nice.
up in Queensland somewhere. We're just sort of working out what kind of locations
Yep.
and all that kind of thing. So, and that'll be a 2 or 3 day one up there. That'll be good
Yeah,
fun.
nice.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure as always chatting, Rainbow. I encourage
Yep.
anybody who's listening to this, who's like, I have a son, daughter, partner, brother, sister, whoever, just a friend who's struggling at the minute and they need some advice. This
Mm.
is one of those services, and that's probably one of the topics of this conversation, that when you go through the sort of the system and look for this kind of support, um, I won't sugarcoat it. It's shit. If
Yeah.
either non-existent or shit,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
you'll get a little government website with some videos telling you about, oh, well, how do you recognize what drugs they're on and all that kind of stuff, you know.
Not about the drugs,
It's
really.
not. And I spoke, you
No.
just made me think again. We had a group for supporting people with ice methamphetamine addiction, and on Facebook a few years ago, and it just turned into these family members, like I said, just freaking out, so fearful that they'd spend all day like posting photos on there. Oh, my son was out, so I went through his whole room and I found this under his bed. What's this? And it's like nothing to do with drugs. It's just some weird, like, trinket or something. But they're like, oh, you must be using it to take drugs, or what drug is this? And I'm like, oh, you're focusing in the wrong area.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
That's tough. All right, Rainbow, thank you so much. And
Thank
thank you,
you.
everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you all on next week's episode.